We've already talked about this topic a lot. The MK party of Jacob Zuma wants to remove the right to self-determination from the South African Constitution. Most of you who follow this channel already know in depth what they are trying to do. But they are at least 4 years too late. This is because since 2022, the right of peoples to self-determination has been enshrined as a key principle of international law that cannot be violated by any UN member state, of which South Africa is one. This means that even if it isn't in our constitution, by being a UN member state, we are already subject to this right to self-determination for all peoples. For the first 28 years following 94, the ANC or their daughter parties such as the EFF or MK could have perhaps successfully tried to remove this right from Afrikaners and other ethnic minorities. But following this landmark development in international law that I'm going to explain to you in this video today in 2022 when it happened, was backed up by an international court of justice ruling in 2024, of course. No international government has the right to deny any nation the right to self-determination any longer, as long as they want to stay UN member states. In 2022, 26 years after South Africa had officially adopted its 1996 constitution, the United Nations International Law Commission formally adopted, for the very first time ever, an official list of peremptory norms of international law. That means norms from which no UN member state may ever deviate as long as they want to stay UN members. These norms within international law serve as the basis for international law and specifically international human rights law. And of course, they include the prohibition of things such as genocide or slavery or torture or even racial segregation. Yet, strikingly, alongside all these prohibitions, one single positive right that the UN Law Commission formally established as an inviolable principle of international human rights law is a nation or a people's right to self-determination. Stay tuned, because in today's video we are going to explore the significance of this fairly recent development in international law for South Africa and the nation staying in this area we now know as South Africa, and why this matters way more to all the people of this country than most may ever even realize. In 1949, 2 years after the United Nations was established, the UN sanctioned its International Law Commission, or ILC, to begin drafting this international law on how treaties among member states of the UN ought to be regulated. The result of this massive endeavor was finally adopted in the Vienna Convention on the Law of Treaties, which of course established comprehensive operational guidelines, rules and procedures for how treaties are to be drafted, defined, amended and interpreted by international law. The significance of the Vienna Convention for international law can barely be overstated. By adopting Articles 53 and 64, the international community formally recognized that when it comes to international treaties, certain principles stand above the will of sovereign states themselves. Article 53 outlines that any treaty conflicting with a jus cogens norm, which means a fundamental legal principle binding all states, is void from the outset. While Article 64, on the other hand, provides that once a new jus cogens norm emerges, any existing treaty that conflicts with it becomes void and terminates ex post facto. This placed a remarkable limitation on national governments and their sovereignty, as it established that even agreements freely entered into by sovereign nations are legally void or invalid if they violate a peremptory norm of international law. In effect, this convention affirms that there are certain fundamental principles from which no state may lawfully derogate, regardless of what its sovereign government, parliament, or even its very constitution may provide. Even though certain norms were already regarded as universally valid by then, and official documentation by the International Law Commission had often referred to some principles as jus cogens in the past, the ILC had historically avoided publishing an official catalogue of these norms. All of this changed in 2019, however, when the first comprehensive list of unavoidable principles for international law was published, and the UN International Law Commission formally adopted a draft document on peremptory norms of international general law. And 3 years later, in 2022, the final draft would also be formally approved. And so, along with prohibiting things like genocide and torture and the people's right to self-determination, was officially formally enshrined as a central pillar of the fundamental principle of international law. The significance of this development only became practically evident 2 years later, however. In July 2024, a very interesting thing happened at the International Court of Justice. At the ICJ, it was specifically referred to the right of self-determination as a peremptory norm or jus cogens in its advisory opinion concerning, interestingly, the Palestinian territories. The same Palestinian territories that is now being supported so heavily and flamboyantly by the ANC is the territories that created this law within the precedent of international law that might mean the end to the ANC's reign of terror that is crushing the self-determination of the various nations living within South Africa. By recognizing the peremptory character of self-determination, the court confirmed that this right occupies the highest tier of international law, a category of norms from which no state may derogate. In doing so, the court substantially strengthened the legal standing of the right to self-determination in international law due to its support for the Palestinian people. This means that a people's right to self-determination is now by precedent recognized globally as so fundamental that even sovereign states cannot lawfully legislate, contract, or constitutionally organize themselves in contradiction to this inalienable right of peoples or nations. Interestingly enough, the South African Constitution is actually one of the best examples in the world of a constitution that actually aligns itself with the latest developments in international law on the matter of self-determination. And in this regard, it can be said that the Constitution was, in a certain sense, very much ahead of its time. In fact, back in 1998, 2 years after our current Constitution came into effect, the then Minister of Constitutional Development serving in Nelson Mandela's cabinet, Wally Moosa, declared that, and I quote, "The pursuit on the part of the Freedom Front and other Afrikaners to strive towards the development of a particular region in the country such as the Northwest and Cape Corridor as an Afrikaner homeland or a home for Afrikaner culture and language within the framework of the Constitution and Bill of Rights is in the government's view indeed a legitimate pursuit." The MK Party's current attempt now to remove Section 235 from the South African Constitution is thus futile. The right of ethnic groups to pursue territorial self-determination is already enshrined in Article 1 of the United Nations Charter, Article 1 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, and the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, and as Arthur Godson, a prominent representative of the African Union in the United States, recently pointed out, these instruments impose a positive legal obligation on states to enable meaningful self-determination for various nations. Where internal self-determination is persistently denied, international law does not merely permit external self-determination, it anticipates it. Self-determination for all the nations that live in Southern Africa and this region we now know as South Africa is something we here at the Willem Petzer Group openly and unashamedly has promoted for more than 10 years now. Moreover, the legal precedents both in our own constitution as well as in international law are already very well established. The only question now is how this should play out and how a new political dispensation would look once this right is developed further by means of legislation within this country, something we work on every single day. In a recent video, we also outlined how it came to be that the ANC in 1994 signed the deal to create an independent Afrikaner Republic. A deal they have not yet been held to, but a deal that still stands today. If you don't know about this and you are interested in finding out about the Afrikaner Accord and the deal made with the ANC in order to establish the Afrikaner Volksstaat, you can check it out by clicking on this link appearing on your screen right now. We highly recommend you watch that one. And please do consider supporting the work that we do here every day at the Willem Petzer Group in terms of changing the hearts and minds of people and fighting for the rights of all nations here in South Africa. You can do so by simply following the easy steps on the banner below and help us, invest in us and help us pay our staff salaries. Thank you, goodbye, and God bless.